I've been watching Naruto recently. For those who know me, it's no surprise to hear that it's just about my favorite piece of fiction. I decided to kick off what I hope to be the first of many Naruto videos, starting at the place it all began. The arc that if you've seen Naruto probably made you fall in love with it for the first time. I'm speaking of course about the Land of Waves. Land of Waves gives us many things. It single-handedly raises up new characters and sees their story arcs to completion in about 12 episodes, most of it coming in the second half. Even though Haku and Zabuza weren't around for long, this arc is highly efficient at getting us deeply invested and emotionally responsive to all the traumatic, sympathetic, heroic, villainous, sacrificial, redemptive, and philosophical events surrounding these not-so-simple villains. This is an origin story for Naruto, and rather self-contained compared to the rest of the series. Orochimaru has his hands in everything from the Chunin exams to the Sasuke retrieval arc. The Akatsuki conflict spans most of Shippuden and so on, but this one just ends, and I think that speaks to the completeness of its message. This arc is kind of like the conceptual blueprint for the rest of the series, a starting point from which many masterpieces can be derived. If I had to pin this arc down to a central question, we're asking ourselves here, how should a shinobi be? The answer being unraveled by some of the more visceral depictions the series has to offer, and like with many great questions, we don't always reach that sure endpoint. There's always more life to live that could bring about better answers. This might be a good time to lay out the characters, because we learn a lot about them. They change in profound ways, even remodeled around our evolving concept of a shinobi. But first, if you like this sort of video and want to see more, it would be most appreciated if you'd like and subscribe to your buddy Woski. Now, back to it. If I had to make a choice, Haku is the best character in this arc. As you may know, he hates killing, while attempting to share Zabuza's outlook on a shinobi, in which killing is a vital piece of character building. It's what in Zabuza's eyes distinguished him as a child from Naruto, proof that they're not deserving of the same title. These traits manifest through Haku's fighting, using weapons with very low lethality, originally meant for the purpose of healing, a quiet early sign of the good within Haku that finds so much tension with the outlaw destiny Zabuza has taken him down. Haku wasn't made for this sort of life, which would fall into clear and cold reality come the end of the arc. There's division within Haku. Like his unusual adoptive father Zabuza, he's hiding, not just from the tracking unit, but covering up that innocent soul which can't be mistaken for a bloodthirsty demon. Haku wears a mask in battle until his vulnerability is forced to the surface by Naruto besting him, just as Zabuza reveals his face after he'd succumbed to those buried emotions of a proclaimed heartless killer, proof there was more to a shinobi than he was willing to admit. These unmaskings stand as paramount moments of humanization for the supposed villains of the arc, a message that's so crystal clear, Naruto when raging out of his mind, taken over by a monster of otherworldly scale, a vessel for pure hatred, is halted in the midst of his killing blow. Because Haku is not the face of the enemy, Haku is pure-hearted. Under that mask is a kid simply trying to have a place in the world, to live just like Naruto, fulfill his humble ambitions, be strong, enough to protect the person he cares about, and it's that purpose alone that will drive him to sacrifice his other values in order to gain the resolve to take a life, just as Naruto gives into that bloodlust once Sasuke had fallen. For Naruto, it's almost like looking in a mirror. Of course, Haku has a thing for reflections. Zabuza's own prized asset, the tool he meant to wield against the world, making him a next-level shinobi, would involuntarily spit in the face of his deluded image of one. He had tried so hard to assign this false narrative onto Haku, envisioning a cold killer. As he told Kakashi, he has no heart, and has abandoned the notion of life. All the while, Zabuza knew Haku's feelings were getting in the way of battle, attempting to ensnare both of them in this double life. And it would take the concerted efforts of Kakashi, Sasuke, and Naruto to break through this facade, with their exceptional sense of identity and heroism bent on depicting another way of shinobi and saving these two lost souls. While it may appear that at their heart Zabuza and Haku are mostly diverging, the world didn't treat them all that different, and so it's understandable were he to see this as an accurate story of his life. He's merely failed to live up to that perfect twisted picture. After all, Haku views such unorthodox relationships, like one where your sole value is being a tool for another person's success, as good, so long as there's someone in the world that will accept him, a perspective intensified to the utmost and sincerely proven by Haku asking Naruto for death. It's a one-of-a-kind dynamic. Zabuza found a way for this utterly demonized child to have purpose beyond floating in limbo. Haku, Zabuza, and Naruto were monsters in the eyes of society, but unlike Naruto, Haku didn't have that support structure to lift him up into a normal life. No Iruka, Hiruzen, or Kakashi, no legacy of the fourth Hokage to make people care about him. Haku is Naruto absent of a proper influence. Without the care of those comrades and teachers that shaped Naruto's core identity, the only thing welcoming Haku was the embrace of darkness. With this in mind, it's no wonder we get Naruto saying that they could have been friends, a recurring theme in the series when we consider people like Gaara, another kind spirit that was driven to brutality by his village's persecution. This misfortune leaves a visible mark, enough for child Haku to tell immediately that he and Zabuza have the same eyes. It's a wonderful character spiral of overlapping undercurrents, despised by opposing surface layers. A little bit complicated, to be honest. Zabuza may have cast that demonic shadow over Haku, but it was no different than what was already there, a very unusual set of parallels. Haku was dead set on killing his feelings, just as Zabuza acted like he'd done, going as far as trying to slash through Haku's newly dead body just to get an edge on Kakashi, a deeply disrespectful maneuver at a glance. You might say the finale to Zabuza's long history of exploitation of a young, naive, insecure kid, taking advantage of him even in death, and I'd agree, but also giving Haku the best chance of fulfilling his dream of being useful to someone. What's terribly tragic for Haku is also his moment of triumph, his revival from that previously purpose-devoid state. Another morally confusing moment in the mayhem of Kakashi's battle, and it's not the only one. Kakashi in his final effort proves himself to be more than a thief of others' abilities, ending his rivalry with Zabuza, putting that obstacle to the town's hopes and dreams to rest, a bold act of heroism. But at the last moment before he can react, he's forced to drive his Raikiri into Haku's chest, putting an end to the kindest enemy of all time, no doubt jolting him back to the trauma of his childhood, as his power once again inadvertently causes the death of someone he hadn't intended and in no way deserved it. Standing in the same position he had when Rin was struck down, his hands once again stained red, reminding us of when, despite how many times he washed them, the foulness of Rin's death would never go away. This scene is remarkably dense with potent narrative execution. Naruto and Haku worked up that killing drive Zabuza held over them, but all found their way to the deeper meaning of strength, the expanded purpose of a shinobi's life, one that's inseparable from the human heart. It's that undeniable heart that broke Zabuza, his exterior shell fashioned from 1,000 killing blows. A counterforce had been building under the radar since he first met Haku, and had at last managed to topple his ego upon the loss of the only person he was able to become close with, exposing a human being hidden beneath the mist and mask of the demon. Haku's parting gift to his master, the same one he gave Naruto, in the moment of his greatest hatred, helping him to regain himself and contain that demonic spirit within. Haku is a story about the world's corruption of the good. Zabuza is a story about the good's cleansing of the corrupt. Haku's sacrifice for this monster triggers a climactic string of redemptive moments from Zabuza. He admits defeat twofold, in battle and in message. He gives up on his denial, shows his weakness, and unleashes himself on the evil that he had fought for, fighting in defense of someone as Haku had always done, the inner demon bleeding out beyond the surface, for a moment reshaping into a symbol of passion and justice, visible cause for terror from Gato, the killer of human hopes and dreams. Zabuza, while proving his true feelings through combat, on his last ropes with nothing but a kunai in his mouth, dragging his useless arms, would cut down a symbol of evil in the world, redeeming himself in the eyes of Kakashi and Naruto, a display so powerful Naruto, who declared him his enemy moments ago, and Kakashi, who vowed to take him down by himself, would stand by in respect of what they were witnessing. Zabuza's authenticity, pouring water over the roaring flames of their conviction. Naruto casually tossing Zabuza the kunai, a calm moment of understanding for the importance of what Zabuza must take care of, the trust that Zabuza will use that knife to make things right. Our sympathy and respect for Zabuza overflows as he falls on a dozen spears, having gone too far down the wrong path to return alive. The once terrifying monster, known for taking out his entire class for the fun of it, is now utterly powerless, the strength having visibly left his arms and legs, as Kakashi carries him to Haku like a baby. While Kakashi places Zabuza down next to Haku, I can't help but appreciate how great of a job this arc does at bringing its opposing sides together. Conflict resolution not merely through one side overpowering the other, but by a collision of ideology and love, pushing this idea of the potential for even deep divides to be mended if we're open and honest about who we are and what we want to ourselves and others. Unfortunate, however, this couldn't have happened sooner. At least Zabuza is able to be at Haku's side in the end, having taken the fall for the final step on his path of redemption. This moment is slow and illuminated, an end to all the darkness that led up to it. The snow falling over everyone, elevating this to an angelic display. The symbolization of Haku's virtue reaches out to Zabuza, at last providing the completed purification of his soul. From beyond the grave, saving him from that hellish afterlife he once not only accepted but took pride in. It's the care for his comrade that pulled him in the other direction. We lose both of these characters, and it gives this arc a strong quality of permanence and resolution to both of their glorious arcs. And while they may be finished, it's also a perfect beginning for the legend of Naruto Uzumaki. Sasuke, where he's symbolized by the completion of the bridge, a source of courage and pride, the return of freedom and progress to that broken village, uniting them with the rest of the world, release from the yoke of tyranny, used for a very cheeky bit of foreshadowing as well, talking about how it's going to be a very famous bridge one day. And I'm sure that's true. After all, Naruto would go on to become the planet's savior. It puts a great deal of wind behind Naruto's sails, making the future of his journey look even more promising. This arc was a hands-on learning experience for Naruto. It gives him an opportunity to learn from their mistakes, helping him conjure a shinobi way that will avoid the painful pitfalls that plagued Haku and Zabuza. To live a life without regrets is his objective, a theme proliferated widely in this arc. After Haku was killed, Zabuza told himself there were no regrets. Inari carried that message from his adoptive father, and Naruto carries the torch for all of them into the future. This arc is a tight mesh of interwoven character exploration and development. All these characters possess qualities essential to bring out the most from each other. It's Haku's profound virtue that was needed to break Zabuza's evil, Naruto's unbreakable will against a superior opponent to show Haku that even the weak have a reason to live and fight. Naruto's singular heroism and tenacity became the solution to Inari's defeatedness and trauma. It's these stark contrasts that allow for the chemical reactions that breathe life into the heart of this arc. Now briefly, I wanted to cover some of the more fighting oriented content. I'm not going to say this is a masterclass in choreography, strategy, or power systems, but it's got some stuff to appreciate for sure. From Kakashi's psychological teardown of Zabuza with the Sharingan copy ability and Genjutsu, which would force him to later create thorough counter strategies like closing his eyes and the extremely dense mist, which come into play during the rematch. Kakashi being no slouch in this regard either, where even without his Sharingan he's able to create an illusion state of battle, giving Zabuza a false sense of accomplishment by letting him land strikes as groundwork for his final maneuver. It's easy to forget, but the Sharingan as an idea is pretty remarkable for its time, and coming with serious drawbacks early on for Kakashi, who was out of commission for a week using it, something that gets pretty lost in the later parts of the series. This extends to hand signs as well, whether it's the water or summoning jutsus, which are many rituals in this arc, and must be a practice Kishimoto felt was overdone, because it goes away almost immediately after. There's also a lot of crossfight tension arising from simultaneous battles, Zabuza and Kakashi's final showdown overlapping with their students' fight, the special stress on Kakashi knowing he can't go to save them, the fear from Naruto's Kyuubi chakra breaking out, as well as Haku's mind-blowing intervention at the very end, altering the tides and pace of battle, forcing Kakashi to fight with everything he had, and leaving him with scars he never could have gotten fighting Zabuza alone. I could go on, but that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. There'll most definitely be others. This was a look back at the arc where Naruto really began, the Land of Waves. This was Woski, and I'll see you later.